I remember years ago that I was working at a restaurant, and in that restaurant, there would be numerous demands being made of me. Whether it was be someone wanted to, the salt or order the food or the different drink, we kind of have to keep track of those things, all those things inside our minds, inside our heads, and all these thoughts kind of stacking up. Things would slip up from here and there, but there was this constant demand and constant turmoil and moving from one place to the other and really trying to figure out what was the next thing to do. At that particular time of my life, what I found was that there was a lot of turmoil within me. I wasn't really finding any stillness or any peace. I wasn't really feeling myself. I was feeling disconnected with myself. Welcome everybody to another episode from Inside Treasures. My name is Phoebus and I love to challenge myself and those around me for the purpose of growth. This podcast is about helping you to heal, to change, and to grow. This particular episode is all about finding stillness and peace within that will help you feel more connected with yourself and more connected with the world. A different place to operate from. A quick announcement around this episode about finding stillness. I've actually created a course, a 4-week live event that's been run online for you to be able to find stillness and for me to be able to share more ideas and more practical ways for us to access stillness from within. If you're interested, there's a link in the show notes, or if you'd like, just go to www.insidetreasures.com/finding-stillness- or search for Finding Stillness Inside Treasures, and you should be able to find something related. Like I said, probably the show notes is the easiest. At that particular time of my life, what I found was that there was a lot of turmoil within me. I wasn't really finding any stillness or any peace. I wasn't really feeling myself. I was feeling disconnected with myself. And on top of that, there were also other demands outside from my close environment that I wasn't able to navigate. I wasn't able to be assertive enough. I wasn't able to speak up my mind. So all these things were creating even further emotional burden and weight within me. And right in the middle, in the thickest part of it, I remember that we were supposed to go on a trip with some friends. And what happened was that I went there and there was some kind of discussion about something, but there was so much tension and resistance within me that they told me something. And at that point, I just wanted to go. I just wanted to disappear. I didn't want to be there. There was something really, really straining me. So I turned around and just looked out the window. And in that moment, that thing that was tormenting me and torturing me just left me. I kind of let it go. I just left it and it left me. And in that sense, in that space, I found peace. I found stillness within. And from that place, I found connection with myself. I understood myself more. But I never really witnessed such a big change so quickly, so swiftly. I'd seen it happen at times through meditating and taking time and slowly progressing and having that done because it was something that I used to practice and I still do. But what was interesting back then is how sudden and how quickly things changed for me. This left an impression of me that stillness and peace is always within our reach, is always so close to us. It's just that the way that we navigate life, the way that we're living, is getting in the way of us being able to access that stillness. And that's one really important distinction for all of us to take away, for all of us to remember. If you're seeking for stillness, stillness is already there. But there are other things that get in the way. A quick reminder, there is a link on the show notes about finding stillness, and if stillness is something that you would like to experience more in your life, then I would urge you and suggest to you to go on my website and join me along the journey of finding your stillness in your life. Now, meditation is a great way for us to be able to access stillness and the different ways of meditating in order for us to find the peace that we look for and crave for. The thing is that stillness doesn't only revolve around us being able to sit down and calm down. It doesn't only involve about us being able to concentrate on one thing or using a mantra or whatever that is, the different kinds of meditations. The other thing to understand is the stillness that comes is a byproduct of the process of us becoming more and more present and becoming more and more observant of what is going on around us. The thing that I've noticed through coaching others is that a lot of times, as I mentioned, the things that get in the way of the flow. And when these things get in the way, we are finding it very hard to experience that stillness. And actually, we're creating more and more turmoil within us. Sometimes we can be in the victim mindset, thinking that the world is doing this to us. Other times, it's realizing that actually we're creating that. And more often than not, is in between. The thing that happens with coaching is like we can really dive into what it is that is going on within your mind, what it is that is challenging you, what kind of perspective is there for you that it's playing out. It's playing out, yet we're not fully aware. Sometimes we can be aware, but most of the time it's just like it's running the show. It's the puppeteer behind that is like controlling everything that we're doing, everything that we're seeing, and it's all happening there. But the problem is like we're not aware of it. Whenever we go through the process of actually understanding this, whenever we create that space and dive into with awareness, with presence, there's something magical that happens. When we see that, when we see things for what they are and as they are, when we experience them, when we allow those thoughts that we kind of been pushing away, capping away, not really experiencing those emotions, those thoughts, those feelings within our body, when we actually experience them and we let go, consciously taking the time to engage with them, to understand the thoughts that actually drive our behaviors, the emotions, the feelings that they are behind. Once this process happens, a lot of things go. And in that space, we find our clarity. In that space, we find the stillness and peace that we've been looking for and craving for. Because we've gained perspective. All of a sudden, we process all the things that were creating the turmoil, the tension, the resistance, the closure. And we've opened up, we've surrendered, we've let go. We've become aware of what is coming up for us. This is a wonderful place to be at. This is a wonderful place to come from. The reason is your life becomes a lot simpler. The reason is you will see a lot of things that have been playing out. And all of a sudden, you have that understanding. And through that understanding, in the future, away from today, when that situation comes, you'll be able to navigate it a lot better. You'll be able to have more awareness. You'll be able to have more balance. And you can slowly but surely progress through what it was bothering you in the past, and actually through the place of stillness, through the place of conscious change. Of course, it would be impossible to talk about stillness without mentioning our breath, without mentioning our body. You see that we've talked about this before in a different podcast episode about the mind-body connection, about how the mind is connected to the body and how the body is connected to the mind. This is no longer a thing that is part of science fiction. This is actually being proven through studies. In those past episodes in the past, I explained about the automatic nervous system, about the emotional brain, about the thinking brain, and the different ways that they interact with each other, the different ways that we interact with our environment, and how that is affecting our nervous system, and of course, how we perceive ourselves. Now, it makes sense that if our body is within fight or flight, if we are caught up in our emotions and our emotions are constantly firing and we're feeling perhaps scared, frightened, angry, sad, depressed, whatever that is, it does make sense that we won't be able to access that level of stillness because our automatic nervous system is under threat, it's under attack, and it's firing off alarms. And this is what we can get from this. If the things that are upsetting us in our lives, if the things that are putting us in those situations, if the things that cause us to feel and trigger us to feel in certain ways that are not really helpful to us, there's no point really trying to look for and find the stillness, because it's us addressing those issues that will actually help us to move forward. But when it comes to the body, it's knowing and remembering that since the body is also connected to the mind, we can start with the body. We can focus on our breath. We can focus on our attention. We can focus on the things that are within our perception, within our five senses. And from there to slowly build it up and notice that peace. That peace within. What I like to do a lot of times with my clients is when they reach that point that I can see that they have calmed down, that they have found their stillness, they found their own way of accessing that. Because we teach different things, we learn different things from different people, but each one of us has a unique way of accessing that place within. And usually, although it's been guided through the process of us discussing and talking, or me through guiding, it's all an internal experience in the part of the client, in the part of you. You're creating that experience internally, and you're accessing those places that are actually beneficial to you. Like I mentioned, when that thing happens, I do my best to actually take the client back. I try to take people back in order for them to see how we got here. 10 minutes ago, you were telling me about all these different things that were happening in your life, and I could clearly see that there was turmoil, there's resistance. And now, 10 minutes later, 15, whatever it is, now you experience this peace, this serenity, this connection with yourself. You have this clarity within you. You're seeing the world through a different lens than you weren't seeing it before. How did we create that? How did that happen? And of course, through this invitation, we find the space to go back and find the strategy that helps us connect and create an anchor within us, a way of recognizing that stillness so we can notice it when it happens, because it will happen to you. It will happen in your life. It happens naturally. It comes and comes and comes again. We just that usually we're not that aware of it. And usually we get caught up too much in the noise of the things that are happening around us. And the things that are happening around us can be so many different things. We could be bombarded by emails, constantly swiping on Instagram or other social media outlets and really firing off our brain and trying to find stillness in us because we're bored. But actually, those actions alone are causing us to feel more distress, are causing us to feel more confused. Part of this whole concept of finding stillness is about us being able to understand the mind, understand the body, and how everything connects, and how our reality is being created through our thoughts and emotions, and how our interaction with the world creates that internal reaction, how our internal world creates the outside world, and how the outside world creates the internal world. You see, it's all intertwined, and that's why it becomes confusing at times to talk about these things, because it's the chicken and egg concept, which came first. Now, what is the point of stillness? Stillness is not a place that we, at least in my book, we want to get to and then stay there. I know for some of you, it might feel like, actually, this is what I need. But it's a way of pressing pause. It's a way of holding on. It's a way of recovering. It's a way of relaxing. The same way that we're awake 16 hours and we sleep for 8 hours. That pause, that stillness, is within our awake consciousness. It doesn't have to be for hours and hours and hours long. It can be short. But what this can do, it can help us to recover. It can help us to recenter. But for what purpose? Part of it is the joy, the comfort that we can find, the space that we can find, the warmth that we can find within ourselves to just be. To be without the need of having to do something, to be without the need of having to think something, even though thoughts might be still coming our way. The thing that I adore about stillness is when it becomes a stepping stone for all of us to penetrate into the world, to give into the world out of alignment what comes from within. What comes from within when we are connected, when we know that we're balanced, we're centered, and it's something that we want to create and give to the world. Whether that is kind words, whether that is just seeing something beautiful outside in the world, a flower, a tree, a bird, or whether that is seeing our children, our spouses, our parents under a different light, under a different lens, because when we are aligned, when we're feeling connected, when we're feeling more still, we create this resonance, we create this ambience around us that really helps us to connect and helps other people come close to us. And we, of course, much closer to them, as there is no veil kind of blocking us, the noise of the mind and us. We're being there. And of course, through that, we create presence. And of course, through presence, we can create so much more. A quick reminder, there is a link on the show notes about finding stillness. And if stillness is something that you would like to experience more in your life, then I would urge you and suggest to you to go on my website and join me along the journey of finding your stillness in your life. Stillness is not a magical formula that will solve all your problems. But the path to stillness can be a way of us being able to come in touch with the things that disturb our balance, the things that rock our boat. And by finding the things that rock our boat, by connecting more with our body, connecting more with our mind, becoming more aware of the processes and the ways that the mind works, because the mind does what the mind is designed to do. It just depends on which way we use it. Stillness is one of those things that really fascinates, that really excites me. And the reason is because it aligns with what I'm doing. It aligns with everything that I've learned and everything I've experienced with life. It aligns with what I'm building with Inside Treasures, which is to find connection with ourselves, connection with our world, which is to experience a sense of fulfillment, a sense of wholeness within us, a sense of healing, of change and growth. And through stillness, we can experience all those things. We can feel more connected with ourselves. We can feel more connected with the world, because if we're not connected to ourselves, if we're not genuine and authentic and honest with ourselves, it's very hard to connect with other people. When there's noise in our minds, it's very hard to connect with other people. When we're feeling resentful and angry about this person, that person, it's very hard to connect with these people. Is it perfect? Are you telling me that if I find stillness, I will always have it and nothing will take it away? No. At least not in my book. Maybe if we all go hide in a cave, but then there will be too many of us, so then we'll have the same problems again. This is not the point of us withdrawing from the world. And I want you to remember that this is not an avoidance tactic, the finding stillness, the meditation. It can become one when we're not willing to see the things that are there. But actually, it's a way of us engaging more in our lives, understanding more of ourselves in our day-to-day. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. If you enjoyed this episode, if this stillness is something that you want to experience more of, if you want to find more peace, connection, and love with yourself, if you want to heal, change, and grow, if you want to join me on this journey of finding stillness, join me at Inside Treasures. Join me on the Finding Stillness program, the online event that's going to be around meditation, coaching, insights, distinctive ideas that you can take, adopt in your life, that they will help you to experience more of stillness, and of course to come more from that space of stillness so you can create more of the life that you want, more of the life in your terms. I'm here to help you heal, change, and grow. If there's something that resonated with you, something that you need help with, give me a shout at podcast@insidetreasures.com or reach out to me on Instagram at Inside Treasures. If you found any of these messages useful, insightful, then share them with your friends, share them with your loved ones, share the ideas with them, because by allowing the messages and the wisdom to flow, you never know how it's actually going to impact them, how it's going to help them to change. Thank you for tuning in to another episode from Inside Treasures. My name is Phoebus, and until next time, my friends, let peace guide your life, let love guide your heart, and reason guide your thoughts.